If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
Testing is already underway, and those returning home to the affected public housing estates are only just finding out that they won't be able to leave for another 5 days. Mark Santomartino is in Flemington. Mark, how are people taking the news?
They've responded with everything from confusion to frustration and, of course, concern, Brett, not just for getting infected, but, of course, the impact this is going to have on their lives. We've spoken to one woman just then who was worried about her grandmother that needs people to come in and help her eat 3 times a day. She doesn't know if that will be allowed to continue. We saw one couple packing their things up into a car and driving off, and another man has told us that he's going to not go inside and consider getting a hotel because he simply can't do without the work. This is going to be a massive enforcement operation. The Premier does not want this to go down the same road as hotel quarantine, with infections spreading out into the community. So Victoria Police has been called in. They'll be stationed at every single door and on every single floor, making sure residents know that they won't be allowed to leave for at least 5 days.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I had to pass this information along from somebody who posted on my website. Obviously, most of us are here in America who follow my channel. I know there are people in other countries who do, and I'm very thankful for that. And of course, thankful for all of you in America who follow as well. But we don't get the 411 really on what's going on in some of these other countries in regards to the C-19. And I know we've all been talking about phase 2 and phase 2 coming. Well, they're already on to phase 3 in Australia, because they're literally doing hard lockdowns now where they are locking people up in their own homes with police patrolling the hallways of hotels where they're restricted to stay inside of these rooms, and they're only allowed to leave for certain things like school or something along those lines. In some cases, not even allowed to leave for the grocery store. And what they're doing is they are forcing testing on people. Now, they're claiming they're not forcing it, but what they're saying is they'll let you out in 5 days if you take the test. But if you take the test and you're found to have it, then you're going to be locked up. Otherwise, you have to wait a longer period of time to be let out of your solitary confinement if you refuse to take the test. So sure, they're telling you it's your free will, but this is them just stripping the rights away of citizens around the world. Look how frightening this is becoming.
Nah, that's too much. I don't know if I could cope with that.
Go my job, no, I'm going to a job.
I'm actually on placement, doing my placement. So if I don't have to go do it, it's going to interrupt my study.
The first priority here is to find every case in those towers so that we don't have an explosion of infections in a highly vulnerable community and very high rates of hospitalisations and deaths because of the background health status of a large number of people in these towers.
There are more than 3,000 people that live in more than 1,000 of these units across 9 towers, Brett, and a big concern is going to be just how they feed them, given that they won't be allowed out to do their own grocery shopping. The Premier says that will be covered, as well as any other support that the government can offer.
Mark, thank you. Now, authorities hope to test every single one of those residents within the 5-day lockdown. Kari-Anne Greenbank joins us from North Melbourne. Kari, restrictions could be lengthened if people don't comply.
Well, that's right, Brett. Right now, every resident of these 9 towers have to stay home for 5 days. However, the state government has the power to extend that out for 14 days. The plan is to test every one of the residents. Residents can refuse to be tested, but if they do, health authorities say that will further complicate an already difficult situation. Now, just a short time ago, the acting Chief Medical Officer, Paul Kelly, called an emergency meeting. He has described this as a new phase of the pandemic. This total lockdown is the first of its kind in Australia. Has described it as a difficult but important step, and it does come with a number of promises from the Premier.
You are on the front line of our fight against this virus. We are proud of you. We understand that you need support, and we will get that support to each and every one of you.
So the Premier has promised to support every one of the residents inside these towers. But across the city today, those already in those lockdown suburbs turned out for testing as a number of new testing sites opened up. At Craigieburn, having hundreds of door knockers on the streets resulted in this. Long queues of those waiting to be tested, including the Paladin family.
This morning they just knocked on our door here in our home, and then they just asked us.
My mum just told me to calm down.
Hotspot shopping strips are open but empty. The difference between High Point in a lockdown suburb and Chadstone outside lockdown was clear. It was a weekend where your postcode determined your day.
Now, this subscriber on my website, again, I'm going to post this on the website as well as on YouTube because everybody needs to see it and know about it. But they were given 36-hour notice to the lockdown. And they're calling this the hard lockdown and the first hard lockdown. Now, you may have noticed, of course, because this is how they work. We know who's behind all of this stuff. You can see 33 Alfred Street. Whoa, what a surprise. Because they always zoom in on the address of these places, right? When they do news reports. You can see all the police force, members of the police with their Masonic checkerboard cars and hats. And of course, it's happening at 33 Alfred Street. You can't make it up. Unfortunately, there's nothing to laugh about because this is how severe this is going to start to get. Now, I told you about the 4th of July. It didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they were going to say there was a massive spike. They did exactly what I talked about, and most of you knew was going to happen. They show bogus stock photos of packed beaches with nobody with masks on, telling you that this is what our people are doing. People aren't behaving. They're not following Big Brother. They're causing more division amongst the people who believe this is real and the ones who think it's not. And they're causing more finger pointing because people are going, if everyone would just behave, get the test and get the shot, we could all go back to normalcy, which is exactly what they're trying to do. And that's their overall goal, is obviously get everyone to get the shot. But look, they're even testing the boundaries now, whereas you saw in that hotel that they're locking everyone down inside of, they have police standing outside the door. You're not allowed to leave unless it's one of the 4 reasons that they tell you you can go. And you think even then they're going to let you go without putting up a fight? This is what's going to start spreading around the world. And this is because of what? 108 new cases? Who cares? Even if it was legit, and it's not. 108 causing people to be locked up in their homes with police standing outside the door, telling you the only way you can come and go if you want, which really you're not allowed to do because they're calling it the hard lockdown, the most severe restriction imposed so far around the world, means that all residents in the towers will be confined to their flats and will not be allowed to leave for any reason. They said there will be no one going in and no one will be allowed out. And you heard people say, look, they gave us 36 hours. Some of us were at work. We weren't able to get to a grocery. You went to the grocery, there wasn't enough food. And so these people aren't going to have food. And they're going to have to turn to Big Brother. Please, Big Brother, can you go get me a bite of tea or something to eat, please? Because they're not allowed to leave to get food. Yeah, we have all these idiots out there who think that this is a pandemic and we have to protect each other. It's about protecting each other. Don't be selfish. Lock yourself up in prison. How long have you been following my channel? How long have I been talking about the home becoming the prison? Because there's not enough prison cells. I know everyone's been talking about FEMA camps, and I agree that FEMA camps will be used at some point. There's not enough space in those places. There's way more of us than them. They turn the home into the prison. And once they bring in martial law to keep everyone locked down and restricted, they'll be patrolling, making sure you don't leave your home. And then eventually, you got to get your shot if you want to leave. Otherwise, you're sticking around in your house. And you got to get these certificates to cross into certain states. This is all stuff that I've been talking about and others have been talking about since the beginning of this, right? Not going to be able to travel without be proven that you've taken the test and been cleared of it and don't have the or whatever all this nonsense is they keep spewing. So the close confines and the shared community spaces within the large apartment blocks, they said, means the virus can spread like wildfire. The order is made for 14 days as a function of the act. It can be rescinded at any point. 9 towers will be locked down for at least 5 days because that is deemed the appropriate period to test everybody. So even though they tell you in the news clips, oh, well, it's not really going to be enforced on anyone, clearly it's being enforced because if you don't get the test within the 5-day period, they're going to make you stay another 4 weeks. And they're going to smoke you out until you go, I don't even have bread to eat. And they're going to go, oh, here's the end crust of a loaf of bread for you. You ready to get your test? No. You ever see those scenes in like Shawshank Redemption and stuff? They lock you in the room in the pitch black. All those movies, Alcatraz and stuff. Yeah. Just that would be in your apartment. They'll probably turn people's power off to force them to get tested. All over the increase of 108 cases. This is passing phase 2 and moving on to phase 3. Because this is the cusp of martial law. This is Australia. You don't think this is going to spread to America soon? Because we're the ones, remember, we have the highest case total. Look at the ridiculous arch in the bogus polls that they show, or the bogus statistics they show. Whoa, look at this spike up. Oh, America's in big trouble. Oh, Americans can't travel outside the U.S. now. Countries don't have them in. Oh, you don't think that they're going to bring something like this in? Please. Frightening that citizens are... It's not even about allowing it to happen. You know why? Because the police are walking around armed and loaded. Well, most of these citizens are just trying to get something to eat and go to work. And they're being forced in. This isn't willingly quarantining yourself. This is forced quarantine. This is like being forced into a prison cell for not committing any crime. And then even at least in prison, they feed you. Here it's like, you better have gone to the store. You better have your pantry stocked up. Or guess what? You're going to starve. What happens if you get sick? We'll take care of you. Oh yeah, we're going to rely on you for that. Who knows what else is probably going to be done to these people? They're probably going to run tests on them. They're probably going to run a vax test on them. All over that number. And this is what's happening over in Australia. So I want to thank the subscriber who posted this. I'm sure some of you already knew about it, but you need to know because this is what's coming. And I don't want to sit here and blow sunshine up your ass and make you feel like other channels who go, oh, it's gloom and doom. Call for an uprising. It's gloom and doom. Everything's going to be okay soon. Yeah, that's what these optimistic people think because they have kids, because they want to think that everything's going to be wonderful. We are in the end times. We are giving them our rights. We've already given them our privacy. We've already given them pretty much everything we've got. Look at what we pay taxes on, for crying out loud, and allow them to take all our money away from us that we earn. Now we're letting them lock us up and telling us, guess what? You try to leave, we're going to use force. You ain't going nowhere. This is the world. This is what it's coming to. Phase 3, coming to America soon. More businesses shut down, more restrictions, more travel restrictions. Like I said, state borders are going to be closed. You're not going to be allowed to enter a state unless you have an address in the state, just like you heard over in Australia, right? You got to stay in this specific spot. Even if you have a secondary home, you can't go to your secondary home. Not that many people have secondary homes, but just say hypothetically you do. Or maybe you want to go to another state and stay with your mom and your dad. Nope. Not happening. Scary part is there's more of us than them. Just remember that always. There's more of us than them. But it shows you how the fluoride works and the mind control works. Because the majority of people buy into it and believe it. And then they just sit there with their thumb up their rear end hoping Big Brother's going to come in and fix everything. Come in and fix everything? Whew. If by fix everything you mean turn this literally into martial law where we're under full surveillance, full restrictions, with no free speech, with no right to bear arms, yeah, sure, Big Brother's really going to help. Wake up if you're asleep and get a grip. And stop acting like you know better than everyone else. Those people you call conspiracy crazy people, like call for an uprising, we've been right all along, and that's not being prideful. It's the truth, and we've been trying to warn people. But the other people, because of their pride, they refuse to see this stuff. They refuse it. Oh, they're just being crazy. It'll be gone soon. oh, they say vaccines are dangerous. They're just crazy. Oh, we all need to put, chemicals that we know nothing about inside our bodies because that's safe. Right? Like I've said a million times, it's like going into, go into your kitchen, go underneath the sink and see bleach. Do you think it's a good idea to drink it? No, it's not. So what makes you think it's good to put anything in your body that you don't know about that's some type of chemical? It's not. But this is what's happening, folks. I want to remind you, please check out the website at callfornuprising.com. If you're on the website hearing this, I want to thank you so much for being there. I want to thank the Patreons again and thank all of you. I appreciate you guys so much. Stay strong. I mean, this is just wearing everyone down. I'm worn down. I'm not giving in. I'm not giving up. But I just can't believe how dumb. I say it all the time, but it's just every day you see how much dumber people get because they just keep pushing the boundaries and people just keep giving in and keep giving in. And they're like, they're going to do what? Yeah, sure, there's some people who yell and scream. Yeah, and I'm one of them, right? Yell and scream. At what point do we all just get together and go, nope, open your business, go ahead. Go outside, do what you want. Go ahead. At what point? I don't know. But it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. Thank you guys for listening again. Keep your minds strong. God bless all of you and your families.